Welcome back to another episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. I have Jerica here on the screen, which I will affectionately refer to her as Jay. Hey, Jay.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, Sasha.
Thanks, Bill. And I am equally proud of you. And I want to say thank you so much for carving out time to join me on the podcast. My friends have continuously showed up for me, and I am just so appreciative and excited for the rest of the world to see how amazing my circle is. And so, Jerica and I are going to have a bit of girl talk today
Yes.
on all things moving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Jerica and I connected at the North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University.
Illustrious. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, we both were living in the hood at the time. And then,
I was in Barbie.
hey, you always tell me that.
Yes,
Jerica
yes.
was next door in a rougher
The
area.
trenches, okay?
Jericho's in the trenches of Barbie, and I was in Van's story. And I felt like we were doing like, it was like a girls' night, and it was like a friend of a friend. And that's how
Mm-hmm.
we connected. I'm not really sure, but I just remember we end up staying close because then we did Verge Modeling Truth.
Verge.
And that was fun. And then we just been linked ever since. So
Yeah.
12 years later, whatever the math
12,
is,
13 is, yeah.
she's still my good girlfriend. Okay, so Jerica, for everybody, I want people to get a sense of like your personality because I
Mm-hmm.
do think that plays into a lot of our discussion today. And so when I first met you, I felt like you were through and through all things Charlotte, North Carolina. There was not
Mm-hmm.
a discussion. There was not a room you didn't enter. And shout out Charlotte, North Carolina.
Absolutely.
Do you feel like North Carolina factored in your decision to attend North Carolina A&T?
Absolutely. Absolutely. North Carolina in general has a lot of HBCUs. In Charlotte, we have a HBCU, Johnson C. Smith, which
Yeah.
nobody talks about. It's all about A&T. Everybody wants to be an Aggie. If you're from Charlotte, just North Carolina in general, A&T is like the pinnacle. It's the school. Everybody wants to go. The homecoming is the biggest thing. Everybody talks about it. So yeah,
Yes.
being from North Carolina through and through, I definitely was like, I'm going to A&T, and that's just what it is.
And I love that. And I'm so glad you made that decision. Otherwise, our lives wouldn't have collided.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
so talk us through your trajectory. Like, how soon into your career did you start seriously thinking about moving?
Yeah, so I'm a teacher, a former teacher, should I say.
Yeah,
And I taught in North Carolina for about 5 years. So at the 5 year mark, I was getting a little antsy. I'm like, okay, I've always known that I was going to spread my wings and move. I just didn't know where, I didn't know when, but
yeah,
I just knew that I was going to leave North Carolina. My family knew that. It was just all about like when. And so when I got to the 5 year mark in my career, I'm like, okay, kind of just doing the same thing, which I enjoy.
yeah,
I loved teaching,
yes,
but I'm like, I kind of want more. I want
yeah,
something more. I want to get paid better.
yeah,
And so Texas is very well known for their educator salaries. Everybody knows teaching is very underpaid no matter where you live. But in
yeah.
Texas, they have very competitive salaries here.
Nice.
So that was my number one reason for looking at Texas to begin with. But
Mm,
yeah, that 5 year mark, I'm like, okay, I just wanted more. And,
yeah.
I was like, okay, I need to figure out what my next move is going to be.
What other states were on your short list that you were considering?
I was considering DC, but
Okay.
DC is very expensive. I
Yeah.
also considered Georgia, but I just felt like Georgia was a little too similar to home.
Yeah.
I did consider Maryland, but I just think Maryland is just not it's just not
Mm-mm.
it for me.
Yeah.
And then I also thought about Florida, which is crazy
Yeah.
because yeah, Florida, no.
Yeah.
So out of
Where in
those,
Florida?
I was thinking about the Miami area, Fort
Okay,
Lauderdale
see, yeah.
area, so South Florida. And yeah, I was just like, yeah, that probably won't work out for
You
me.
know.
And then their pay was pretty similar to North Carolina, so
That's interesting. So I could definitely see you in DC. You give DC.
Yeah, I love DC. I love DC. I just think for me, it was a bit expensive, and then their
Yeah.
salary was just like, okay, this is not gonna, I'm gonna have to just, get on a blade or do a little extra to make this work because it is so expensive there. So, yeah, that was a chop.
Okay. And when you were making this decision, what were some of those conversations, if any? Was this like, I'm gonna hold it to the chest and just do it, or did you find yourself talking a lot about this, rather big decision?
Yeah. So obviously, outside of my family, I talked a lot to my mom, and she was
Mhm.
always very supportive from day
I love
one.
that.
Spread your wings, do your thing, girl,
Yeah.
get out of here. I've
Yeah.
always seen that for you. She's very much like, she's one of those kind of moms who wants me to be better than her,
Yeah. Yeah.
like far better than her.
Yeah.
So she was on board with it. We talked about it a lot. I also
Yeah.
had a colleague that is from Dallas originally, and he just happened to just move to Charlotte, just kind of like the same way I did, wanting something different.
Mhm.
And he was actually moving back to Dallas because he was over Charlotte, he was over North Carolina. He's like, I'm
Yeah.
going back. And he was like, girl, you need to come. Just come to Dallas. You'll
Yeah.
love it. And I'm like, I don't know anything about Dallas. I've been to Texas, but I've only been to Houston. And he was like, you should really consider it. I can get you a job at the school that I'm going to work at. Like, just think about it. And so he ended up moving back a year earlier than
Okay.
what I moved. But we kept in touch, and I kept
Yeah.
asking him like, "How are you liking it? Has anything changed since you previously lived there?" And he just kept saying, "I love it. Like, you need to come. You need to come." So
Yeah.
I kept thinking about it. My mom also has some colleagues. She works with day traders, and some of
Uh-huh.
them live in Dallas. And they were telling her like, "Your daughter will love Dallas. Like, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, she'll love it. It's diverse. It's a you know big city, but it gives you a family oriented vibe."
Mhm.
And they were just telling, I had nothing but good things to say. I have an uncle who used to live out here in Dallas
Mhm.
when he was younger, and he was just like, you are going to love it. Like, don't even think about it.
Just do it.
Just do it.
When you moved, how many times did you visit before you actually made the decision to move?
I visited Dallas twice. I
Okay.
visited Dallas twice. The first time I came out here to meet my principal because I
Mhm.
actually had a phone interview and she hired
Okay.
me on the spot. And I was like,
Nice.
well, I already have a flight out there because I planned on attending the job fair. And she was
Mhm.
like, well, I'm just going to offer you the position, but if you want to come out and meet us, you can definitely come out. So the flight was already booked. So I was like, well, I'll just, I'll come out there and meet you guys face to face. So that was my first time. And I toured the school and toured the area, and that was nice. And then the second time I came back with my mom,
Yeah.
and we toured Dallas. We went apartment hunting and did all of
Yeah.
that, and did the uptown, the restaurants, and all of
Yeah.
that, just to get a vibe for how it would actually feel to live in the city full time.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
awesome. And when it came, so
yeah.
how long have you been in Dallas at this point?
6 years.
6 years.
Yes.
Okay, so at this point, we need an update. Are you still loving the decision? Are you getting an itch to jump somewhere else? What are your thoughts?
At this point, I'm still loving Dallas.
Yeah.
I very much enjoy the environment. I enjoy
Yeah.
the diversity. There's
Yeah.
always something to do. So I feel like I made the right choice. I'm very confident in, my decision. And it's funny because my mom, she comes out over the summers to visit me, and she just asked me the same question. She
Yeah.
said, would you consider moving anywhere else? Do you think this is it for you?
Yeah.
And I was like, if I move somewhere else, mom, it would probably be out the country. And she was like, oh my gosh, Jerica. But I'm like, I don't know where else I would want to move. I mean, God forbid something happens to my mom. I would move back to Charlotte if that
Mhm.
were ever the case. But
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, Dallas is it for me. It's home for me now.
I love that. And on your short
Yeah.
list for other countries, where would you consider?
So I would definitely consider Dubai, Canada as well. So
Mhm.
yeah, I would look into those places.
I love that. And so I guess
Yeah.
to be fair, I haven't really shared my experience with moving to different states. So I came to North Carolina because I wanted to get away from Delaware. I was annoyed with the Northeast and I wanted a shift. that's how I picked North Carolina A&T. But funny enough, when I got down there, I did not like the people in North Carolina at North Carolina A&T, and I realized it was because I had such expectation for what it should feel like or how people should interact that I didn't know Southern hospitality. I was just like, these people keep talking to me and I don't know why. Get in the elevator and be quiet. So
We love a small talk.
yeah, so it took me a while to get out of my own head around just being friendly and engaging with others and not thinking that there's like an ulterior motive. And so even when I left A&T and moved back to Delaware for work, I was there in Delaware and I was just like, 2 years in, I was just like, there's no way I'm going to continue to stay in Delaware. Like growing up here, but being here as an adult, completely different. Got an opportunity to move to New York. 2 years in New York, hated New York. It was just very hood in the way in which I was living. Most of my friends moved to Charlotte. And I hated Charlotte. I don't know what it is about Charlotte. I hate Charlotte.
Yeah, you don't live for Charlotte at all. It's like, girl, Charlotte it's growing, it's developing. Give us a chance.
It's been growing and developing since 2009. I just love CIAA down, but for Charlotte, and for me to live there, absolutely not. And then I moved out of the country. So I did South Korea for a year and a half. That was a good time. Loved it. I absolutely do think I would do another like out of the country. I'm just not sure when. Came back, moved back to New York, had a little bit more of an income, but still not enough to get rid of them damn roaches. So for me, entering my 30s, living like this, I can't do it.
Yeah.
And so then I moved to North Carolina with my ex-man. We were in Raleigh, and Raleigh was okay, but it's definitely not like a young population. So that felt very like we need to start a family. We weren't starting a family. So then it was just like, okay, why am I still here? And so Atlanta definitely feels like home. I mean, you and I have talked about me relocating to Dallas, and I'm excited, but I'm also Atlanta is so Black. It's hard you talk about diversity. I don't know diversity.
Well, that's true. It is very Black. Very.
And I just feel like I've had such a shift in expectations as far as what the demographic looks like that when I go other places, I'm way more cognizant than I have been before. Atlanta just does that where you feel like, oh no, who's that? Where are they from? They're not from this, So it's just changed my perspective as far as like expectations in other places. And even when we had our weekend in Dallas, like 10 out of 10 as far as the good time. So it'll just be, I mean, again, I've been here now. This will be my 3rd year. So not quite as long, but the longest I've been anywhere in my adulthood, which is also strange.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm considering it. Was it challenging to find community in a new city?
It is. It's something I'm honestly still struggling with is finding community.
Yeah.
Because I'm very much so comfortable being by myself. I honestly prefer it, but I know that that's not what life is about.
Yeah.
You definitely need to have a sense of community. It makes you feel, a sense of belonging. So it's important for me places to go out and meet people and network that is not socially or party based, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's a big place. It's a lot of things. And I just feel like as an adult it is a little bit more challenging to meet people because people have their routines. I know I do. And it just takes a conscious effort to put yourself out there and build your community. So I'm still working on it.
That's fair. And when you talk about routine, Jerica is known to be in her bonnet by 6 o'clock. So I'm not sure where she's getting
Absolutely. That is definitely true. That is definitely the case. Yes.
We call her Miss Bonnet Queen in the chat because this guy I've never seen. This is the most I've seen her outside the bonnet.
I am a homebody. I definitely am. For sure.
I guess in thinking though, as you are working to build community, do you have any tips that have helped you settle in or get to know the folks that you do know? Because you do. I mean, you have a circle.
Mm-hmm.
So how were you able to find that community?
Um, Basically just being comfortable going out by myself, which
Yeah,
I am. I've never had any problems with that.
yeah,
And so you just have to be comfortable to go out, venture out, try different places, even if it's something that, you probably wouldn't typically do.
yeah,
Just give it a try. And
yeah,
so that's basically how I've met the small circle of women that I have connected with. Is
yeah,
just going out, showing up by myself,
yeah.
enjoying myself, just, open to having conversations and getting to know people. I have met a few colleagues. I don't necessarily hang out with them outside of work, but we
Mhm.
do kind of share things and, different experiences like, hey, you might want to check this out over the
Yeah,
weekend. My husband and I went there or whatever. So we share things that we might see that are going on around the city, but we don't necessarily do it together.
together.
But yeah, work is always a great place to get started if you're new to a city and you're kind of don't have any friends or family, because you kind of already have a built-in network there
Yeah,
at your fingertips. So
yeah.
that helps as well.
And I guess looking back, was there a moment that confirmed the move was the right choice, or a moment that made you feel like, okay, start to question, did I make the right decision?
I think because I've just been growing consistently, I'm all
Yeah,
about making sure that I'm just scaling up in a
yeah,
consistent way. It doesn't necessarily have to be in 2 years' time or 3 years' time or
yeah,
whatever, but as long as I'm just on a consistent scale upwards, then I'm okay with that. And that has
yeah,
been the case for me the past 6 years. I have just been growing and growing and growing and accomplishing different things. I got my second master's here. I
yeah,
transitioned into becoming a school counselor 3 years ago. So everything is just kind of it's just been working out. And
yeah,
I really haven't had any moments that made me feel like, man, I this was not a good decision. I haven't had any of that, and I'm
yeah.
grateful for that.
Yeah. People don't recognize, for those of you listening and you've never lived outside of your hometown, there it is like a cheat code. Like for whatever reason, that level of resilience, it just
Hmm.
becomes innate. Like if you want to survive and you want to make the best of a decision, at least that's how I felt at A&T. I was like, you're here, Sasha, you've already moved. You need to make the
Right,
best of it. Change your attitude because you can't control anybody else that's around you. And no one's actually doing anything to you. So just
right.
try, like, get to know this new area. I mean, I'm actually glad that that happened so early on because now when I move or when I travel, I'm not as so like this is how it's got to be. And they say people that have moved out of their hometown or well traveled are able to better adapt. I mean, you just have a different experience with people that are well versed in
Absolutely.
outside of their, whatever they grew up with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I will say so with anything, right? There's a bunch of positives. You're happy with your decision, but was there something that you had to grieve, even though you feel this move was the right decision?
Mm, Something I had to agree. I mean,
Yeah,
I had to get comfortable being lonely. I
yeah,
definitely did, and I don't really view loneliness as a negative thing. It's
yeah,
just another human emotion like
yeah,
everything else. But I definitely had to get comfortable with that. I had to get comfortable not being close to my family.
yeah,
I'm my mom's only child,
yeah,
so it's always just been her and I. We're
yeah,
super close.
yeah,
So I had to get comfortable not, being with her. Before I moved to Dallas, I lived with my mom. So it was just always me and her. So I definitely had to, get used to that and kind of grieve the closeness of that and having to get more comfortable with, okay, I'm just gonna have to, video chat or, just get comfortable with doing things differently, not always being able to go back for every holiday and things like that and milestones for younger cousins or, younger family members. But that's just a part of that resilience piece that you
yeah,
spoke about. It just helps you just build more and you're
yeah,
able to just kind of, like I said, be comfortable with being by yourself or
yeah,
finding your own community, and just going from there.
yeah. I feel like there's also a cheat code in living by yourself.
Right.
So the first time that I've lived alone was New York. My first one
Okay.
was in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a level of solace that you gain and
Yes.
you appreciate because you'll find a lot of people can't sit with themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They
Right.
don't enjoy their own company. They have to have some level of stimulation. And I'm not often surprised at how many women in their 30s who said, "Oh no, I've never had a significant
Never
amount
lived
of alone
alone. Yeah.
time."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm like, whoa, you've never lived alone. You've always, I mean, but some people will look at me and say, wow, you've been on your own for 6 years, whatever the case is. You don't ever get bored. You're not lonely. I'm like, I get lonely, but my peace and my solace, like you said, is priceless. Like, I love having my own space. I love coming home and it's quiet and I can, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to read? Do I want
Yeah,
to scroll on my phone?
yeah.
Like, it's just, it's completely mine, you know? And that to me is just like the icing on the cake. It really is.
It's no judgment, it's no expectation. Because I have
Yeah.
lived with somebody, a man, and the expectation when they come in the door is get up.
Yeah, yeah. It's like you don't have someone constantly like, okay, what do you want to do now? What we're gonna do now? Like you said, the stimulation is like, okay, I kind of don't need that when I get home. I want to just be alone by myself, leave me alone. So
Correct.
yeah.
And if someone listening is on the fence about making a big move, what would you tell them?
I would say just pray about it. Pray
Yeah,
about it and make sure that what it is that you're seeking or what it is that you're going after on your move is something that, you know, you're ready to go after because
yeah,
like we said, when you move to a new place, especially when you don't have any family or any friends there, you really have to just make it happen. You have to,
yeah,
you know, be ready to just, you know, change, be adaptable, be flexible, and just be ready to be a go getter, so to
yeah,
speak. So
yeah.
just pray on it, you know, maybe speak with your family, your friends, get some advice, do your research, of course. And, you know, if that's a place where you're meant to be, you'll be there. You'll
Yeah.
get there.
And again, we're talking about from the perspective of two single women. I do not know what it looks like to
Yes.
transition with kids, and I have the support that I heard that's a whole different.
Yeah, yeah.
So, from a perspective of, we're sort of betting on ourselves and feeling comfortable and knowing that we will be able to navigate, it is the easier decision. I mean, I've
Mhm.
never moved anywhere and felt I regretted the decision. It was more like, okay, how are we going to work through this, or how are we going to work? Because if you go into anything with the expectation that everything's going to work out or it's just going to be perfect, that's not
Right.
real, right? Like, there's
Right.
always going to be woes amongst your
Mhm.
journey. And in talking about woes, what were some of your woes when you got to Dallas, Jerica?
Wow. So, whoa. Okay. So, woes. There have been a few.
Whoa.
There have been quite a few. Okay. So like I said, I used to be a teacher, and so when I came here to Texas, everything about their system is different from North
Yeah,
Carolina. And that was a big adjustment. And I will say, probably within my first year of teaching out here, I knew I can't stay in the classroom out here.
yeah,
I just cannot do it. The teachers don't have enough agency over their content, over their curriculum. So I just knew that it just was not going to work out. And I'm like,
yeah,
okay, wow, that's all I know is teaching. So I
yeah,
was like, okay, what am I going to do? Because this is not going to work in the classroom. And so
yeah,
I went back to school for counseling. I got my master's. And so that's worked out for me very well. But that was like a big shell shock. I had never felt that way about teaching before. I had
yeah,
never felt, you know, like it didn't get to the point where I hated it. I won't go
right,
that far, but
right,
it was just different. And I was like, I cannot do this. This is not going to work. So that was my first big woe. And that was probably midway towards my first year of teaching out here. And then my second woe is just the connection part, the network, the building, the community part. It's been very challenging. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been here 6 years and I have only probably have two or three good Judy's, good girlfriends in the 6 year. And I think about that often. I reflect on that. I'm like, girl, what is that saying about me? Like, I'm very much comfortable with looking at myself in the mirror
yeah,
and, you know, keeping it straight with myself.
yeah,
So I think about that often because I'm like, girl, it's been 6 years. You should really, I'm in a sorority. So it's like, you should kind of have a little bit
Yeah,
more going on,
yeah,
but I don't. And it's just, I don't put too much pressure on myself. I talk
yeah,
to my mom about it all the time, and she's like, I don't have that many, good girlfriends. And, she's in her mid 50s, and she's
yeah,
like, sometimes that's just better.
yeah, yeah,
Sometimes it's just best, like, it might take you a while to make those strong solid connections, and that just is the case for me, and I'm okay with that.
yeah,
Sometimes I get very down on myself about it, but I don't, like I said, I take the pressure off of myself, and I just know in time, the more that I put myself out there, it'll come, and I'll
yeah.
have, a strong core group of friends out here.
Yeah. And I think in general, like I have been able to, for my journey, at least in Atlanta, I would say I felt similarly in New York. One of the things that always saves me is I hang a lot with the girls, you know? So it's not an expectation that I'm finding women in community. Even when I lived in New York, it was not outside of the folks that I knew at A&T and then some friends of a friend. I wasn't really finding other women that I connected with so much so that I said, these are, people that I'm going to stay in my life forever. Most of the women that I did gravitate towards, we worked together.
Mhm.
But outside of that, I mean, I would be in the same boat, especially in Atlanta. I don't have any good, I mean, I have, and they watch the podcast, so I don't want to say I don't have any friends, but I don't, I mean, 3 years, I know Sasha's going out with these 4 or 5 girls. Expectations in women friendships are different. We
Yeah.
could do a whole nother episode on like what that looks like and finding women that have the same values. And, you being in my core circle, I just feel like I'm really happy with the women that I have in my life, that I'm
Yeah,
also not
me
like
too.
looking if I feel like, oh my gosh, I need, just to lean in with my girls and have that conversation. Like I'm comfortable FaceTiming y'all and me
Yeah.
saying, okay, this quarter we definitely need to put something on the calendar. I mean, I can't tell you, I'm still living for May. You girl, I was so overwhelmed, and so I'm still full. I don't feel like I'm missing or I feel shorted in any capacity from that. And I mean, there are some random nights where I say like, if I just had my girls, like we would go out and it would be a time. But
Yeah.
outside of that, I mean, I feel really secure in the relationships that I've built, and that goes just back to the college friendships that I've maintained over the years. Okay, so we are at the end, Jay. To close out today's conversation, um, how has this move shaped your views on stability, success, or even relationships?
Yeah, the move has really shaped my perception of stability, most importantly, because it's just me, like I said, and I just have to pretty much, I'm responsible for myself. I have to make sure that I'm always able to provide for myself.
Yeah,
And so that being stable is very important. And I'm thankful to God and very blessed that I have been very stable since I've moved out here for all 6 years. Relationships, like I said, just, with finding friends and things like that, that's still a work in progress. And, again, it'll come when it comes with building those. So, yeah.
love that. Well, Jay, we appreciate you leaning in to the Big Moves Bigger Conversations podcast. We've enjoyed all of the insight in which you dropped, and more importantly, just your willingness to come on and share your experience around moving. Guys, we hope that this inspires you to figure out, is a move warranted? And if so, some tips on how to elevate the experience. Until the next time, love you guys and talk. Thank you for watching another episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. Like, subscribe. Thank you for watching another episode of Big Moves, Bigger Conversations. Like, subscribe.